fucked up. I mean, I'm 38. I was running all during quarantine on cement, and I got fluid in my knees. I got plantar fasciitis, and now I've been doing MMA for the last year and a half.
Oh
And
man, I gotta do that. I saw you post something. You were training with Diego, right?
yeah, I trained with Diego, but right now my fucking neck is just killing me. And he choked the fuck out of me last week. And for like days, it hurt to swallow. And I'm like a hypochondriac. I've gotten much better. Now we're into mental health a little bit. But I'm such a hypochondriac. So I used to always be Googling all the time. I'd be like, I got throat cancer, esophageal cancer, all that shit. I've thought I've had everything. And I Googled it before because the first time I did MMA, I was like, it hurts to swallow. And people were like, I put in like jujitsu, and everyone's like, you got to tap earlier. That's from getting choked, whatever. And this time, that was a year and a half ago. And this time it was so bad. It was like 7 days in. I was like, let me just do a Google. And it's like relapsing for me to start Googling illnesses.
Yeah.
But I read all the same exact articles. And then at least I have some wisdom now to be like, a fucking black belt fitness guy was choking you unconscious. Yeah, it might hurt to swallow a little bit. Like your fucking neck was getting squeezed.
Yeah, it makes sense. I gotta ask you, not to get away from mental health shit, because but do you feel like you're getting better when you fight with him? Because I did one class with him, and it was mostly just a workout and a little bit of the learning stuff. I didn't pick up anything because it was one thing, but mostly I was like, oh, I'm just getting my ass kicked by Diego. And I think sometimes I feel like he just does it for his little ego. I don't think he's going to give you his goods.
Well, I think, first of all, there's a lot there, and this comes back to mental health in some ways. And he was one of the first episodes of this podcast, but, I do feel like I'm learning, but I have that feeling, and this does go into mental health because I don't know where to tackle this first. I'm having a lot of thoughts at once, but I was reading a thing recently. I do have the idea when I'm fighting with him that I'm like, I suck. I'm not learning anything. I'm like, I feel like that line in Kill Bill Volume 2 when he's like, I'm as useless as a worm fighting an eagle. Like, I just feel like it's not even worth anything. But that's strangely ego, because in my mind, I think of myself as like this superior being that I'm like, I shouldn't suck at this.
Right.
Like somewhere in my mind, even though it feels like self-hatred, that I'm like, I suck, I'm a piece of shit. That's actually ego thinking like, I should be able to kind of maybe trick him a little bit. I should be able to land a couple punches on this guy who's a black belt cage fighter. I think he was undefeated, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I believe that. I think you're right.
But yeah, he beats the fuck out of me. But he always reminds me is if I compare against him, obviously I'm a piece of shit, but you have to compare against yourself. Like me now fighting me 6 months ago, it would be a fucking bloodbath. And me a year ago, like forget about it. So, and I'm able to at least stand in there and spar with him a bit. And then like he always says, like the more I improve, the more he brings up his level. So it always feels like, oh, I'm getting my ass kicked. But he's like, I'm working harder than or not harder, but I'm doing more than I was doing a year ago, 6 months ago.
I got to do it. Do you feel like if you were attacked like on the street, that would come in handy?
A little bit. Now I'm starting to get there. Like I know how to execute an arm bar and a choke, which are things I didn't know before. And I have some sense of how to move and punch.
Sure.
And I've heard other people that are like fighters say this as far as like somebody talking shit at a bar, or like once you kind of get into a fighting stance, that lets people know like, shit, this guy might have some knowledge.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just learn that stance. That'll